What's your favorite hunting tradition? Is it the early morning coffee by the campfire? Or the stories shared while waiting in the blind? Maybe it's that special spot you go back to every season, just like the person who first took you hunting. Hunting season is finally here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has everything you need to gear up for less. From shotguns and rifles to feeders, game cameras, camo, and more, we've got the brands you trust and the prices you'll love. Plus, text HUNT24 to 22369 and get $20 off when you spend $100 on hunting supplies at academy.com. Need a hunting license? Pick it up in store while you shop. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Gear up, have fun, and make this season your best one yet.
Good sleep should come naturally, and with a new Natural Hybrid mattress, it can. A collaboration between Lisa and West Elm, the Natural Hybrid is expertly crafted from natural latex, natural wool, and certified safe foams to elevate your sleep sanctuary and support a greener tomorrow. Breathable organic cotton and moisture-wicking Joma wool consistently provide cool and comfortable slumber. Every purchase helps fuel Lisa's work with shelters and those in need. Visit lisa.com to learn more. That's LEESA.com.
Unplugged, here we go. Booty and a crew exclusive interview. Welcome to the show. Let's have some fun. Sweep Unplugged starts now.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It is Sweep Unplugged, and you know what time it is. It's time to have another amazing interview, and big shout out to the founder of Sweep Elite TV and the whole crew, Coach Gio and Derek Gervin, the Hall of Famer, UTSA inducted in 2024 class of UTSA Hall of Fame. Big shout out to everybody who's part of the whole team behind the scenes. We have a special guest today. We have Jeff Patterson, and he is the founder of the Yielding Warrior Method. We're going to talk everything about his brand, and you can go visit his website. It's theyieldingwarrior.com. We're going to learn everything about his over 36 years of experience. So Jeff, he's been teaching the meditation and martial arts for a good while. So I'm glad to have him on tonight. And first and foremost, Jeff, thank you for your time, man. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
So, man, appreciate you clearing the calendar for a nice little episode tonight. Kind of tell us a little bit of the backstory of you being the creator of the Yielding Warrior online program.
Yeah, so I started out as a fairly young guy in the martial arts. I was very into Western boxing. Used to love the thrill of the sport, the challenge. Used to go to a boxing gym just a few blocks down the street here from my academy. And at a boxing gym, usually the way that they run the program is a lot different than your traditional fitness class in that usually there's a few coaches rolling around, and each one of those coaches might have a few fighters that they're working with. Well, at this one gym that I was at, one of the coaches had a very well-known reputation for creating amateur and professional champions, and I really wanted to get to spend some time with him. So I'd always show up at the gym when I knew he was going to be there and show him that I was there to work hard and try to get him to spend some time with me. After following him around for about 3 or 4 months, he finally started showing me a few things. And he said something to me in those first few weeks of training with him that changed my life forever. In that he said, if you really want to be a good boxer, you should start doing meditation and Tai Chi. Now, at the time, I was this 19-year-old kid thinking, isn't Tai Chi for old people in the park? How's that going to help me be a better fighter? But I had a lot of respect for him. I followed his suggestion, and it not only has it changed my life in many ways through the years, but I've had over 26,000 students come through my academy, and I've heard hundreds of stories on how the meditative arts has positively influenced people's lives. And that's what's made me so passionate about trying to get this message out there.
You mentioned you've been able to work with thousands of students worldwide. What are some of the common challenges that you've seen people face when starting meditation? And also, how does your method help address those challenges?
Yeah. So, being a teacher for over 30 years, one of the hardest things I come up against is getting people to commit to the practice and make a concerted effort to get to the point where they're reaping all the benefits from this amazing practice. And so I've come up through the years with three things that I like any new student to consider and put a little energy into to help them be the most successful with the practice. And the first one is thinking about why they're being drawn to the practice. What interests do they want to accomplish by being drawn to this practice? And if they do, how is it going to change their life going forward? Are they going to be healthier into their later years so they can watch their grandkids grow up? Or maybe they're dealing with a stress disorder and they're using this practice to help deal with panic attacks. Or maybe they're an athlete and they want to improve their performance on the field. Whatever that is, and then not only that surface level why, but how will your life change in multiple different areas if you accomplish that goal? And then I also have them flip the coin and think about the other side. And if they don't do that, how is it going to negatively affect them? Because it's important to have that fuel. We're all human, and there's going to be days where we don't want to get out and train. But if we have a motivating reason, something that's pulling us, a drive that's making it be something that we get to do and not something that we have to do, then we start looking forward to it. And that's where we really start to reap all the benefits. Then it's important to understand that they need to be consistent, having a regular daily practice. And through that, they develop this discipline, this integrity, this perseverance that not only affects them in their practice, but it also bleeds over into everything else they do in life. And then lastly, they have to find a guide. You have to find somebody to help point you in the right direction, because the meditative arts is an extremely deep practice. And if you think you're going to go onto YouTube and look through the millions of videos out there and find some way to get deep into a practice, you're misguided. I've literally had students come in here that have tried to be self-taught, and they've been studying for 15, sometimes 20 years, and they're never more than the surface level into the practice. And so having somebody help you and point you in the right direction can save you a lot of time. So thinking about those three things and putting effort there will definitely help you be more successful.
Once again, if you are watching this, you're watching Sweep Unplugged. Big shout out to Rui, the founder of Super Elite TV. We're talking to our special guest today, Jeff Patterson. You can go to his website. It's real easy. It's theyieldingwarrior.com. And a lot of people, they say, hey, I'm busy. I have a busy lifestyle. But if they're interested in incorporating meditation into their daily routine, what's some of the things that you see can be a useful method for those who might think they have a busy schedule, but they can find some pockets of time?
Yeah, so that's one of the most common things I hear, is that people think that they're too busy. And what I've found through the years, I've been teaching for over 30 years, is that people, when they take on this practice, they realize that by integrating meditation into their life, that they start improving their focus and getting less distracted. So now, while it does take time to meditate, it gives them the ability to be more productive in the things that they need to get done. And most of the time, it ends up being where they have more time because they took on this practice, because they're more focused and they're able to not get distracted by the million things that come up. I don't know how many minutes people spend looking at their cell phones, but you do that during the workday and you feel like you're busy, but you've got all these things that are pulling you left and right. And that ability to recognize these distractions and use your breath, use your posture, use the movement, if it's a movement practice, to help bring you back to focus. This not only helps you in your productivity, but it helps you in being more creative, improving your physical performance, improving your relationships. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can benefit by integrating this stuff into your life.
When you work with students, you've been able to work with them worldwide, and like we said earlier, thousands of students have been impacted through your going through your program. Talk about a little bit for the audience who are watching and listening on the podcast version, how you personalize and kind of help the student understand, okay, this is where you're at and this is how we can attack this.
Yeah. So anytime you're drawn to the meditative arts, it's important to understand kind of the main directions of the practice. So I've broken it down into 5 directions that you can take on a meditation practice, and they are more of the athletic or performance side of the training. There's the therapeutic side of the training that helps with longevity and working through injuries. Then there's the medical side of the practice, which, all of Chinese medicine is based off of Qigong theory, which is a big part of the training. Then there's the philosophical side of the practice. And then lastly, the spiritual side of the practice. And so when somebody new is coming, first we want to find out where their main attraction is and what path they want to follow. Then we would take things from ritual, active, and philosophical practices and start building an evolving life practice for that individual to help them accomplish whatever goals they're looking to do with the practice.
You also have a book. Speaking of resources, people can get your book as well. When you look at the opportunities to build awareness of your brand and pushing yourself online and pushing yourself through books, what are some of the things that you notice as an entrepreneur seems to really help amplify your core mission as a brand?
I think the biggest thing is really trying to understand who my target audience is and making sure that I can give them what they need. So my life's passion is to bring this to people because I love the practice myself. But if I just do it for all my personal reasons, there's not a whole lot of Jeff Pattersons out there, right? But if I can figure out how I can connect with more people and show them how it fits into their life, I think that's the main thing that any entrepreneur needs to do is how do I really connect and resonate with my target audience?
And it's funny you said target audience. I literally just had a conversation earlier today with a publisher, and he talked about how when he tries to help authors out there, the number one issue he picks up on is when the author says, "Oh, my book is for everyone." And it's like not quite. I mean, that's great to have that ambition, but the reality is the truth hurts. Not everybody's going to read your book. Not everybody's going to look at your business products or services. But just like you said moments ago, explain how you focus on targeting the right audience that responds to your passion. And the second thing is that the person I was talking to was talking about, I cannot be passionate for your brand, because he said the biggest problem also was that the person would, or the people would say, well, it's your job to market, or it's so-and-so's job to market my book. And he has to check them nicely and say, well, if you're not passionate doing it yourself, you talked about earlier being consistent, you have to do the legwork because it takes a little time to get things going for you. And kind of touch on that with your world of meditation, because it's one thing to lead the student and tell them how they can benefit from this, but it's another story when they actually get on their own routine and they take that action daily to be committed.
Yes, having that commitment is so valuable. It's like I always tell people, I'll get students that come in here and they'll say, yeah, I'm dealing with panic attacks. And so when I have one, I go practice breathing techniques. And then I'll ask them, well, what do you do daily for your practice? And that is their practice. They only do it as like a pill when they have the problem. And it's kind of like, if you're hungry and you want an apple thinking that you're going to go plant a seed this morning and eat the fruit this afternoon, you've got to be able to set the roots and build that foundation. And if you do that, the meditative arts will be one of the best things that you'll ever do for yourself, but you have to put that time in there and invest it in yourself.
As we are getting closer to the end of the segment, let's talk about well-being, because wellness is something that is a hot topic. I mean, a lot of people are talking about holistic health, alternative health. You, as someone who's been able to impact as many students, you also are impacting their lives, right? You're enhancing them to have the ability to have options. So talk real quick on wellness, well-being, and how people can probably pay attention to that a little bit more in 2025 because we're almost done. We're at the end of December.
Yeah, so one of the five core regulations with a meditation practice is learning how to regulate the mind. And people get this often misguided perception that in order to be successful in meditation, that you need to reach this state of nirvana and this peaceful, blissful place where nothing bothers you. And they couldn't be further from the truth. I've been fortunate enough to travel around the world many times and train with some amazing meditation practitioners. And I have never once met anybody who doesn't get distracted. And when you understand this, you realize that when you meditate, you may get distracted 50 times during that session. And every time you get distracted, if you recognize that imbalance and use your posture, use your breath, and use the movement to help come back to focus, you start building this resiliency and this ability, if you will, to be almost unshakable. There's this story that I really enjoy about these two old monks, and they're walking down this dirt road after a huge rainstorm. And they come up to this big mud puddle. And on the other side of the puddle is this beautiful little girl standing there in a white dress, but she's crying. And the older monk, he yells across the puddle and says, "Is everything okay? Can we help you?" And she says, I need to be somewhere, but if I walk across this puddle, I'm going to get my dress all dirty. So the older monk, he rolls up his pant legs, he walks across the puddle, picks her up, puts her on his back, takes her to the other side, sets her down, and she's off on her way. Well, him and the younger monk are walking a couple miles down the road, and finally the younger monk is just furious, and he says, we're not supposed to touch girls, but you did back there at the puddle. And the older monk looks down and says, "You're still thinking about that girl? I left her back there at the puddle." And how many times in life do we need to get 2 miles down that muddy road before we finally realize that we need to let these things go? And so the meditative arts helps us see these things and recognize these imbalances so we don't spend too much of our days being on that muddy road, right? And this is so important for our overall mental well-being and just one of the many pillars of a meditation practice.
That is excellent. I don't know about y'all watching, but I love that illustration you just gave us because it's very true. I'll just wrap this up. But when you look at your life, I have a nice wise person say, your life is like mile markers, right? You check where you are because those are like the little pockets of your highlights, moments where you can reflect. And it's important to be able to reflect, but most importantly, like you just said, moments ago, is you eventually got to move on, especially when it comes to living. You got to live in the now, live in the present, because if you live in the past, if you keep, and it sounds cliche, but it's true. If you keep looking in the rearview mirror, you're going to crash because life is about living in the moment and living today. Don't think too much further ahead in the future. It's okay to have dreams, but, live in the now, what you're supposed to be doing now. So as we are coming to close, we're talking to our guest on Sweep Unplugged, Jeff Patterson. If people want to stay in touch with you and they want to know more information that they can utilize in planning for the new year 2025 to possibly work with you, how can they find additional resources?
They can go to my website, theyieldingwarrior.com. And also, if they'd like a free copy of my most recent book, you can go to theyieldingwarrior.com/book and just pay for shipping and handling. We'll send you out a copy of the book. Also, if you're interested in our teacher training program, you can investigate that there as well.
Well, once again, you've been watching Sweep Unplugged, talking to our amazing guest, Jeff Patterson. Make sure you go check out those resources he just gave to y'all. Show notes are going to have all the links for you to click on as well. Like always, man, I want to say thank you for your time and Merry Christmas, man.
Thank you.
What's your favorite hunting tradition? Is it the early morning coffee by the campfire or the stories shared while waiting in the blind? Maybe it's that special spot you go back to every season, just like the person who first took you hunting. Hunting season is finally here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has everything you need to gear up for less. From shotguns and rifles to feeders, game cameras, camo, and more, we've got the brands you trust and the prices you'll love. Plus, text HUNT24 to 22369 and get $20 off when you spend $100 on hunting supplies at academy.com. Need a hunting license? Pick it up in store while you shop. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Gear up, have fun, and make this season your best one yet.
Good sleep should come naturally, and with a new Natural Hybrid mattress, it can. A collaboration between Lisa and West Elm, the Natural Hybrid is expertly crafted from natural latex, natural wool, and certified safe foams to elevate your sleep sanctuary and support a greener tomorrow. Breathable organic cotton and moisture-wicking Joma wool consistently provide cool and comfortable slumber. Every purchase helps fuel Lisa's work with shelters and those in need. Visit lisa.com to learn more. That's LEESA.com.